Listen, you want to be here watching Guns N' Roses?
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to GNR Central, and we got your news for today, so let's get started. So Duff McKagan, as well as a bunch of other former or existing members of Guns N' Roses, were at NAMM this past week, or I should say the previous weekend, and he did a couple interviews. So Duff made a pretty startling revelation about his upcoming solo record, and the big revelation is that it's not going to be a rock album. So he claimed his upcoming solo album will consist of what he says are observational songs that find him pointing out to some things that he's noticed over the course of the last few years of touring. So McKagan began recording his solo album back in March of 2018 with producer Shooter Jennings, and the two worked out of the Station House Studios located in Echo Park, California, writing and recording in between McKagan's tour with the seminal rock band Guns N' Roses and the release of Jennings' his album Shooter. So the album will be McKagan's musical follow-up to 2015's best-selling book How to Be a Man and Other Illusions. So speaking to Tom and Music at this year's NAMM show in Anaheim, California, Duff said about the genesis of his new solo record, he said, "I've written a couple of books, and this last tour I was just on was about 2.5 years long, and we traveled around the world like 4 times. And it was just it was a very interesting time. The last 2.5 years have been interesting in England, interesting in America, and interesting in the rest of the world as well. And I'm a history reader. All I do really is just read every night. I like being informed, I like traveling, talking to people, and knowing what the lay of the land is wherever I go. And it's evolved over the last 30 years that I've been traveling. It interests me, and instead of writing a book about that, which I was thinking of doing originally, especially the climate that we've evolved into, sort of more divided. This has happened many times before. History repeats itself, but people always get worked up not realizing this has happened before. So I wrote these little vignettes that were basically parts of stories or starts of stories, and I was going to write about. But then these became songs," he continued. "They're just observational songs, and I'm really proud of it. It's like another book for me. It's a launching of a book as opposed to, it's not a rock record, so I don't know if people will be surprised or not. But I thought it was important for me to now, as a father and as a citizen, I've read so many goddamn books on history, and I still do, that I thought maybe it's time for us just to point out some things I've observed," Duff added. "Not pointing fingers at anybody, because that's not really any good. I feel like I have a voice that I can say, this happened before, here's what happened, it's happening again, let's not fall for it again." So McKagan went on to say that he played acoustic guitar and bass on the record with accompaniment from Shooter's band. As for his touring plans in support of the solo album, Duff says, "I think I'm going to do some festivals this summer in June. It's all basically getting laid out, and I think I'm going to start in Washington, D.C. I'm going to play particular shows that mean something or hope to, but the festivals we're working on right now." So when Duff's solo album was first announced last month, Jennings said that he felt it was a really important record that had to be heard, and the songs have so much heart and are so musical that I could just hear all the arrangements immediately and I could feel them, he said. And about his connection to McKagan, Jennings said, "I met Duff right after I moved to Los Angeles nearly 20 years ago. I was such a massive Guns N' Roses fan when I was younger, and I'd say that they had a lot to do with me even moving to LA, but there was some kind of magnetic force, I guess, that keeps us orbiting each other over the years. When the idea of collaborating with him on this album came up, I was very eager to get the job as producer. I felt the music the man made was part of the fabric of my own musical identity, and that I would really love building a record with him. Once we sat down and started going over the songs he had, I instantly knew the two of us were going to be a great fit together." So McKagan's last solo album, Believe in Me, arrived in 1993, and his Loaded Outfit released The Taking in 2011. So 3/5 of the classic GNR lineup, as you guys know, reunited in 2016, and it toured for more than 2.5 years. And staying on some Duff McKagan news, we have some more news from Duff. So since he was at NAMM, it was announced that Fender and Duff have teamed up to basically unveil a new signature Duff McKagan bass that's going to be called the Deluxe Precision Bass. So the new signature is based on his Appetite for Destruction model. So Fender and Duff McKagan have teamed up on a new signature bass that takes the Guns N' Roses man's 80s Jazz Special model as its basis, blending it with the player's friendly features of the existing P bass. And then other features include a neck of a quarter-sawn maple with a rosewood fretboard and block inlays with a 12-foot at the 12th fret, and a deluxe Jazz Special headstock logo. And the final characteristic flourishes with a pure vintage 70s bridge and neckplate with McKagan's skull and crossbones album, his emblem. Now the bass will be available in March of this year with an expected price of about £1,200, which I think is probably around $2,000 US or maybe $1,800 US. So that does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and go subscribe to my other YouTube channel, Rock and Roll True Stories, where I've been covering some really great bands over the history of rock and roll, and I'm really wanting to hear from you guys in terms of which stories and bands you'd like to see featured as well. So take care.
Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!